Good morning, Masi. Can you confirm that we have quorum and that we can proceed?
Good morning, Chairperson. Yes, we are fine, Chair. We can proceed with the meeting.
Okay, good morning, members of the Committee of Public Service and Administration. Let me take this opportunity to welcome in everybody for attending the Portfolio Committee meeting. We have the National School of Governance with us today, I believe being led by Dr. Maya. I would like to just extend our welcome to them for attending and the whole delegation. Would also like to just welcome the staff. It does not seem like we have the minister or the deputy minister with us today, and the deputy minister did subject a apology. So with everybody being welcomed, I would like to please just ask Masi if you could flight the agenda for the meeting that we can adopt it for the day.
Okay, I'll flag it now, Chairperson.
We're on the edge of our seats.
Apologies for that delay, Chair. I've flighted it now.
There we are. Thank you very much, Masi. Members, as you can see, we are set to start at 10 o'clock. We have set our time until 1 o'clock today. The main item to discuss today or presentation is from the National School of Government, impact studies conducted on the National School of Government training and development courses in public administration. Members, this is a session which we welcome and we did actually request as well. So we really look forward to seeing into the inner workings of National School of Government and what successes they've had with their development courses. Can I please have a proposer for this agenda and a seconder?
Good
Honorable
morning,
Speaker.
Chair. Good morning, members.
Honorable
Our
Pulwani. Morning. Please proceed.
morning, Chair, and morning, honorable members, our staff, our National School of Government, everyone in the platform. Chair, I move for the adoption of the agenda.
Thank you very much, Honorable Pulwani. Honorable Space.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honourable members. I second the adoption of the agenda for today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, members, for your assistance. With that, the agenda has been duly adopted, which means we can move on to apologies. Members, I have received a written apology from Deputy Minister Kekana. She is ironically writing an exam today. She's doing a course while we are seeing the National School of Government. She did not confirm to me whether it is a NSG course or not, but nonetheless, we wish her well. And then Honorable Kelise and Honorable Leklabe are both engaged in other committees and have submitted apologies. Can I please ask members, is there any other apologies that I must note?
Chair?
Please proceed.
Yes, Chair. Honorable, the Minister has indicated that he will join also slightly late. He's struggling with connectivity where he is.
No
We just
problem.
received that information now.
Would you please just assist me and alert me when the minister has joined that you can maybe just send me a WhatsApp that I can just make sure to welcome him when he is in our midst. Thank you so much. Okay, Members, with that being noted, it seems to me like we have noted all of the different apologies. We can then move on to item number 3. Honourable members, the committee has consistently raised questions with the National School of Government regarding the evaluation and impact of its training interventions on public servants. And our intention is to establish the facts and not to suggest that the committee doubts the value of the training interventions provided by the NSG. The committee's interest is to determine the extent to which these training interventions contribute towards improving the performance of individual employees in the public service, which in turn should translate into quality work and improved service delivery for our citizens. The evaluation of NSG training courses should therefore be able to demonstrate measurable improvements resulting from these training interventions. Issues relating to the provision of recognizable certificates which employees can utilize when applying for promotions within the public service are also of interest to the committee. With those remarks, I would just from my side like to take the opportunity to just say congratulations to all of the members of this committee who did their speeches yesterday. I think we had a very balanced offering from different speakers. I think all members represented the committee well. They represented their political parties well, and I think it went down as professionally and as good as it could have gone. So thank you, members, for the way in which you have conducted yourselves in yesterday's budget session as well. But with that, few remarks. Let me now hand over to the National School of Government. We look forward to the presentation. NSG, please proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning, Honourable Chair and members of the committee. As you have correctly indicated, Chairperson, my name is Bochabelo Maja, and I'll be leading the delegation from our side to make the presentation to the committee on the impact studies that we conduct as the National School of Government. Chairperson, I have put my presentation on the screen, and I have now projected it to full screen. I am hoping that I'm audible, visible, and my presentation is also in good order, Chair. If I might just check.
Yes, Dr. Maja, thank you for checking. You are good to go, and you have my full permission to switch off your video as well to ensure that we've got the best reception possible, that you don't have signal issues. So you don't have to keep your video on. Thank you for showing us your face, but you can proceed without the video, and we look forward to the presentation. We can see it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I really appreciate it. Chair, we welcome the invite by the committee for us to come and present. What we thought we should do first, Chairperson, is to provide the context within which the work that we do is shaped. Let me just... to provide the context, Chairperson, within the work that we do. As the Chairperson is aware and the committee is fully aware, the mandate of the school, of course, is to train public servants. We are attempting very hard to not only improve performance, but also to build a common public service ethos that should assist us with competent public servants, but more importantly, serving our people better and improving our country going forward. We do conduct, Chairperson, monitoring and evaluation of our training interventions, guided by the government-wide monitoring and evaluation system led by our sister department, the DPME, but also guided by the National Evaluation Policy Framework of 2019. Using those two documents as guides, we have developed our own monitoring and evaluation policy framework, which we signed off in 2023. This framework informs what we do, how we do it, when and why in relation to both monitoring and evaluation. So it hopes to assist us to provide a much more credible and consistent framework with regards to the work that we do on M&E, but it also takes into account the extent to which our own interventions as the school achieve gender equality, assist us with women empowerment, assist us with advancing youth and persons with disabilities as part of the broader national evaluation policy framework. It also helps us, Chair, with accountability. It helps us to improve our own offerings because we don't only monitor and evaluate for those that we are training, we also monitor and evaluate to inform our own interventions to improve on what we do so that going forward, where there are missteps, we can rejig and readjust our interventions for better improvement going forward. Chairperson, we do 4 things in this work of monitoring and evaluation, and we thought that before we go into the various findings, the outcomes of the work that we do, we share with the committee the 4 levels of work that we do, because in the reports that we will be sharing with you, Chair, these reports take advantage of all these elements. We don't just do one thing when we monitor and evaluate. The first thing that we do, Chair, is what we call monitoring itself. So this one is not evaluation, it's just simple basic monitoring. And what this means is that in all our every training intervention of the National School of Government is monitored. So we monitor 100% of our training interventions. What this means is that during every course that we roll out, at the end of that specific course, all those learners who are in class have to complete reaction evaluation questionnaires to tell us how the course was run during that specific work whilst they're still fresh, whilst they're still in class, even before they can be given their certificates of completion or their certificate of competence. We require them to spend time completing these evaluation forms that will reflect on the course, on the facilitators, on the facilities that we are using for training, the whole training intervention itself. And we do that in all our intervention, which is 100%. That is level 1. The second element, Chair, we conduct what we call evaluations of acquired learning. Here, we just want to understand whether any learning has been acquired during the training intervention itself. So we're not looking yet at whether they are making any difference in their workplaces or to society at large. We just want to know in this second element whether have they acquired any learning during the intervention that we've had. You will see later on, Chair, when we talk about the Kirkpatrick model, which informs our evaluation, both when we do monitoring and when we also do evaluations of acquired learning. The National School of Government is in full control of those 2 elements because the first one, of course, the public servants themselves are still in class at the end of the intervention. And the second one, we do those evaluations with the same public servants. The third element, Chair, which is the application of learning studies. It begins to take us outside our comfort zone as a school in the sense that at this stage, we now need the cooperation of other state entities where those learners are located, because we want to know whether any application of learning has occurred in the workplace. So the DG of the national school would write to the DG of the relevant state entity or department requesting that they allow us to come into their workplaces to assess the application of learning in the workplace. That is the third element. And then the last one, which are the impact evaluations, it's where again we also require the assistance of those departments for us to be able to do evaluation of impact of the changes both in individual behavior but also on the organization's performance, which can be attributed to our intervention. At this stage, in the fourth element, Chair, we are also looking at whether there are any differences or improvements impacting on society broadly. These departments delivering services much better, which can be attributed to the intervention that we've provided. The reports that we write, Chair, they take into account all these four elements, and we will share some findings of these reports in this presentation. Suffice to say, Chair, the application of learning studies since 2013, we've been able to conduct 28 of those, which are full reports on the application of learning studies, and we've also been able to complete 18 impact evaluations since 2020, which have assisted us to try and understand whether our interventions are making any difference in the work that we do. We use a hybrid model for the monitoring and evaluation. As I've indicated, we are borrowing on the 4-level training evaluation model developed by Kirkpatrick. We are also working and using the success case method that we have borrowed from Brinkerhoff. Those two elements inform the methodologies that we use, the approaches that we take, the instruments that we utilize to try and understand whether we're making a difference. We collect through surveys, as I've indicated, especially for the monitoring part where we do it in class 100%. We do observations. We also conduct focus group discussions and interviews. The aim here, Chair, is to try and triangulate so that we look at the same phenomena from different angles using different methodologies with the aim of seeing whether that kind of triangulation can give us the same story that we are looking for, or whether the stories will be contradicting each other so that our reports are much more factual. The application of learning studies and the impact evaluations, we tend to conduct them over a 2-year period. In the first year, we do phase 1, and then we move on to the second financial year where we do phase 2. We also work with the OECD evaluation criteria when we do both the impact evaluations and the application of learning studies. Chair, this is the Kirkpatrick evaluation model with those 4 levels that I was talking about. And this is how we relate to the Kirkpatrick model with those 4 levels and the work that we do. Further to highlight here, Chair, the point I was making earlier on that with regards to level 1 and level 2, we are in full control as a National School of Government, and the response rate is much higher there with levels 3 and level 4, where we are looking at evaluation and we are looking at impact. We require cooperation from sister departments. Where that cooperation comes through, our work goes very well. Where it doesn't come through, we then have difficulties in following through. Let's then come to the reports, Chair. What we thought we should do is to share with the committee the reports in 2 parts. Firstly, to share with the committee some general trends of the impact evaluations. And then the second part, we thought we could share with the committee some very specific case studies so that the committee can emerge, hopefully, out of this session with both a general view and also some understanding of specific case studies which help in specific instances. Chairperson, as I've indicated, we've done 28 of the application of learning studies and 18 impact evaluations. Some general trends are quite interesting. Where the monitoring and evaluation of a program has been in control of the NSG, and this is usually in levels 1 and 2, we tend to have good results and feedback that we receive, as I've indicated earlier on. Where the evaluations are dependent on cooperation from departments, whether it be municipalities or any other state entities, because those are levels 3 and 4 of the Kirkpatrick model, they require us to visit those places of work of the participants. Then we tend to, at times, encounter challenges that have been experienced regarding the availability and cooperation of the supervisors, where we require them to be involved, and or the participants themselves. We do write formal letters. Despite these difficulties, we do write formal letters, and we are allowed formally to come and do these impact studies. But even these formal communications at times do not resolve the problems that we would have later on of access to those departments. The application of learning studies and impact evaluations, we have found generally that they tend, in terms of our interventions tend to have made a difference in the performance of the learners who've completed our programs with regards to them being able to acquire new skills and knowledge. We found that when we look at the final phase 2 of the impact evaluations, sometimes the supervisors are not willing to allow participants to implement those newly acquired skills and knowledge. So this is an issue of the ecosystem, Chairperson, where you can go to school, you can acquire knowledge, you can be ready to implement. For you to be able to implement, you will need your employer, your supervisors, to give you space, to give you room, to allow you to implement that new knowledge that you've just acquired. If you are not allowed, or your supervisors are not willing to open that space for you, you will not be able to implement those changes that you'd like to implement. And this is one of the things that we've picked up, that the ecosystem in our entities can be a hindrance to learners being able to apply their learning back in their workplaces, back in the departments. The other issue, Chair, is that very often participants are not available during the second phase of the impact evaluations, because, they've now learned new things. They are now more confident. They want to do things. In instances where supervisors are not that open to allow them to do things, they start applying for promotions elsewhere. They start looking for transfers, and then they move on. And when that happens, then you find that when we come back to do the second phase, we can't find those same learners in the places where we had left them before, when we were doing phase 1. The other issue, of course, is that in many instances, and this is a broader issue that affects most of our training interventions, is that sometimes we have target groups that departments identify to attend our training interventions who are not correct. So you find that they're learning things that are not linked to what they're supposed to be doing, or their responsibilities back in their places of work. One of our programs, Chairperson, is the Foundation Management Development Program, FNDP. It's a very long-standing program of the National School of Government. When we did an impact evaluation of this program, we identified noticeable changes which could be observed in the department as a result of the implementation of the newly acquired skills and knowledge by participants who attended the program. However, again, during follow-up of the same department a few years later, we found that the changes that were implemented were no longer visible because of the issues of supervisors being appointed who are new, and the procedures prior to training that are no longer in place. To date, and I'll come back to this issue, Chairperson, when we share with the committee the case studies, we have done 2 impact evaluations on Project Kaedo field assessment at General de la Rey in Lichtenberg in Northwest Province, and also at Addington Hospital in Durban. I will share these case studies with the committee in the later slides, but we could observe some very good changes at both hospitals as a result of the implementation of the recommendations of the field assignment reports that they had received. In instances where senior management in the departments and municipalities go beyond simply approving our DG to DG letters for us to impact studies, but take interest and are keen to see a difference being made by our intervention in their workplaces, we have found that that kind of cooperation and close work with the senior management of those institutions, very good results and changes are observed. Of course, Chair, there are some obvious limitations which are beyond the school and in some instances even beyond departments when there is no budget to do some of the interventions that they would like to do to make a change. There's very little that us or even the department itself can do. Yes, they have to look at ways of maximizing what they have, but it does limit the change process that we are looking for. We also have found, Chairperson, that where programs are made compulsory and with the buy-in of senior management that I spoke to earlier on, you can look at gender mainstreaming in the Western Cape Department of Environmental Affairs and Development Planning, where they made gender mainstreaming in that department compulsory. What we found, like in this instance in the Western Cape Department of Environmental Affairs and Development Planning, there were positive changes that we found during the impact evaluation. So in summary, Chair, it's the ecosystem that matters. It's the leadership, ownership that matters. It's the resource issues that matter. Where succession is managed well, it helps. Where it is not managed well, it limits the impact. Where there is an element of compulsion, we see that there are successes in terms of the changes. Chairperson, these are the 3 case studies that I will quickly share with the committee. It's the impact evaluation of Project Kaedu at General de la Rey Hospital in Northwest, and also the impact evaluation of gender mainstreaming in the Western Cape Department of Environmental Affairs and Development Planning, and also the impact evaluation of the Art of Facilitation Participatory Community Engagement Program offered to CDWs. These are community development workers and retired nurses and community practitioners in the Eastern Cape. So in the next slides, I'll be talking to these case studies, Chairperson. The first case study is the one from General de la Rey Hospital. And we report here that there were some improvements in patient experience in terms of enhanced safety and security that we could observe. There was better hospital access control, and there was overall improvement in terms of patient care and service delivery. We also observed in relation to hygiene and cleanliness that there is an increased adherence to healthcare guidelines, a higher staff morale could be observed, and also improved provision and procurement of medical equipment and resources. When we looked at governance, we found that there's a strengthened governance structures, there's more responsive management, and a positive change overall in staff attitude. Of course, there are also some unintended positive effects, such as we saw that there were more compliments than complaints via the suggestion boxes at that hospital. There was more of a management reflection and continuous performance processes, improvement processes by management at that hospital. Of course, there are still areas for improvement. Nothing is perfect in our world, Chair. There is a decrease in patient satisfaction with pharmaceutical services at this hospital. There are still high complaints about missing patient records and maintenance of gardening equipment. There are inconsistent results on waiting times and adherence to Batupili principles. There is some level of resistance to change among some of the officials there. There's a bit of an overuse of hospital facilities that's causing a bit of congestion. Delays in hospital expansion project also are hindering major maintenance. We've also seen that there is an inability to determine employment equity targets at the hospital. The budget constraints that we've mentioned are there. So therefore, there's a need for continuous oversight and resource planning and also addressing the budget constraints at this hospital. Here, these are the pictures at the same hospital, which we thought we could share with the committee to illustrate some of the visual changes that we could observe. At the top, all the pictures at the top, they will give you a sense of what the situation looked like visually before our intervention and the impact study that we conducted. And the pictures at the bottom, they show major improvements. Yes, if they have more resources, they could repaint some of these rooms, but at least the rooms are cleaner, they're much more organized, there is much more pride in the work that they do. And we thought that the committee might want to see this and satisfy yourselves whether some of these visuals are something that we could hold on to. The second case study, Chairperson, is on the gender mainstreaming in the public service, which we worked on with the Western Cape Department of Environmental Affairs and Development Planning. There are a number of findings that we would like to share with the committee. Firstly, with regards to the impact experienced by the participants at their personal level, we noticed that there was a noticeable increase in the participants' awareness on gender mainstreaming after the training intervention. When we looked at the impact on the department, there was a noticeable increase in the participants' quality of work, especially with regards to the application of gender mainstreaming policy analysis and project implementation after the training intervention. The issue that we looked at also was whether there was increased gender sensitivity and mainstreaming in the department amongst the participants, which was there, but also based on this noticeable increase in the number of inputs received from the participants regarding the documents developed or reviewed after the training. Strategic documents had been reviewed in the department to make them much more gender sensitive and gender compliance going forward. The issues around the increase in the confidence regarding their work execution and mainstreaming of gender in the work environment was there, especially when we looked at female officials, which was not the case before our intervention. They were more comfortable to mainstream gender after this training intervention. The third case study, Chairperson, is in the Eastern Cape, where we looked at the art of facilitating participatory community engagement program. In terms of the skills and knowledge, in terms of improvement during the evaluation, we noticed that participants reported that they are better at meeting facilitation, agenda management, and stakeholder engagement after the training. Many of the participants became more confident in writing reports, minutes, and funding proposals. It seemed that the program strengthened their ability to manage dispute and resolve community conflicts effectively. They were also able to apply trauma debriefing skills during the COVID-19 pandemic to support families and communities. This is where we're beginning to see service delivery improvements. Supervisors observed better planning, timely reporting, and improved professionalism amongst the CDWs themselves. These are community development workers. The cluster meetings and stakeholder forums were introduced to encourage collaboration and knowledge sharing. The relationships between the supervisors and the community development workers and the communities themselves became more supportive and productive. Participants also manage projects more effectively by budgeting better, writing better proposals, and having more structured meetings. The impact on the community was multifold, Chairperson. Communities experienced more consultation, there was more transparency and participation in local projects. Communities and participants themselves reported fewer community protests due to improved communication and stakeholder engagements. Projects such as soup kitchens, school renovations, sanitary towel distribution, and trauma counseling benefited the communities. Community members received better supports with grants, IDs, referrals, and broader access to government services. Participants reported a decrease in learner dropout due to the provision of sanitary towels and school uniforms. They also reported an increased learner performance as nightingales provided food for learners in schools. In conclusion, Chairperson, we just thought we will mention three things. Firstly, to reiterate that we don't only monitor for the learners, the participants, and departments and the state, we also do it for ourselves to improve our training programs, to make sure that our training programs remain relevant, they are of good quality, our facilitators remain top-notch. Secondly, that our findings inform, they enhance, and they also assist with further planning and to improve the quality of everything that we do at the school. It is therefore important to ensure that investments in impact evaluations in terms of resources, time, staff, and money, therefore, are not made at the expense of monitoring or other types of evaluation that are also needed to inform decisions about program practice. And therefore, the impact evaluations, Chairperson, and other types of monitoring and evaluation, we believe should be done in ways that will support each other. And our minister has been very supportive to the work that we do in this regard. And he has been pushing us to do more and more so that we can be much more broader in terms of the findings and reach a stage where we can say we are covering a bigger number of public servants that we train. Thank you very much, Chairperson. I will stop at this point.
Thank you very much for that presentation. We really do welcome it. Can I just confirm that that is the only presentation? There are no other presenters?
Yes, Chairperson, that is the only presentation from our side.
Thank you so much. Just wanted to confirm that. Members, there you have it. This is now our opportunity as members to ask questions and just make comments on the presentation that has been received. I will now gladly take hands to see who is willing to ask a question. Honorable Speech, please proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, thank you very much to the presenter for the comprehensive presentation. It's appreciated. I only have 3 questions, and my first question, Chair, emanates from the recommendation that was tabled last week in our discussion on the budget and APPs, which concerns the compulsory training I do think that the presenter did capture my question, but I will just do a refresher. But I have a follow-up based on the recommendation that was adopted by the committee. And so I would like to know from the NSG how much of the your current ethics curriculum specifically focuses on consequence management, on disciplinary accountability, and also on ethical decision making. Um, that is what I want to know, because remember my recommendation referred to recommending that there be a compulsory anti-corruption and ethical leadership training for senior management service members. And I would like to know at this point what the NSG's position is on that. And then I also would like to know um, if they do believe it should be mandatory, and how the NSG would propose the monitoring and enforcing compliance if that is the case, if it becomes mandatory. Then, Chair, on consequence management, um, I would also like to know um, how the NSG currently prepares senior officials to institute disciplinary processes in a lawful manner, how to avoid unnecessary delays, and also how to ensure accountability without fear or favor. And then, in terms of the lifestyle audits, I also would just like to know, as in conclusion, are there any courses that could possibly assist with the issue around lifestyle audits, and also the behavior of senior service management members in this regard. Um, that to me is all that I would like to ask. I would like to also say thank you for the case studies that you presented to us. I do believe that sometimes a lot of criticism comes to state-owned entities or state-led entities, and I somehow feel that we don't sometimes share best practices enough. And maybe that is just a suggestion that there should be some sort of a best practice seminar or conference where best practices are being shared, but also for citizens to see that amidst all the complaints and sometimes chaos that it overwhelms everything, that indeed there are things happening that is pointing to improvement in service delivery as a whole. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Space. Honorable Mukunu, and then Honorable Kaba after that. Honorable Mukunu, please proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much. Sorry, Chair, I can't give you a proof of life due to signal glitches. Um, my first question is based on tracking officials after training. The NSG indicated that officials are often lost during impact evaluation due to transfers and promotions. This points to a weak monitoring system within the government. The question is, why does the NSG still lack a reliable digital tracking system to monitor the movement and long-term impact of trained public servants across government departments? And how much public money has been spent on training individuals who can no longer be tracked? Has the NSG engaged the PSA or other departments to establish an integrated tracking system? My second question will be based on wrong official sent for training. The NSG admitted that departments frequently send the wrong target groups to training programs. The question is how much public money has been wasted on training officials who did not meet program requirements or were unsuitable candidates. Why are departments not held accountable for this wasteful expenditure? The last question is on impact of training versus poor service delivery. The NSG continues to receive public funding to train public servants, yet communities still experience poor service delivery, weak administration, corruption, and lack of accountability across government departments. And my question is, what measurable evidence can the NSG provide that its training programs are improving the performance, ethics, and efficiency of public servants? Which department have shown clear improvement after NSG intervention? How does the NSG measure whether training translates into better service delivery for citizens? If government performance remains poor, how does the NSG justify continued expenditure on training programs? Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable Nkaba, you are welcome to proceed, and then Honorable Langa after that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I'm audible, Chair.
Yes, member, you are audible. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. Just bear with me. I can't even understand this gadget to show my face. And also the situation of the network where we are staying in Acacia. I don't think it can allow me. And thank you for your indulgence, Chairperson. Chair, let me welcome the presentation from the NSG. And let me firstly greeting to you and the honorable members, the department in the platform. Chairperson, my question is just only, I think I have one or two. Chair, what could be done to ensure that the supervisors are willing to allow participants to implement their newly equaled skills and knowledge? Is there any comparison training intervention for all supervisors and managers in the public sector? Chairperson, on slide 8, the NSG indicated that very often participants are not a participant. Participants are not available during the second phase of the impact evaluation due to promotion or transfers to other unit or department. What can best be done to utilize technology to track this movement within the public sector as a way of avoiding losing them for future NSG evaluation? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Honorable Kaba, and then we can lastly Honorable Langa, if we don't have any other hands. Please proceed.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and greetings to colleagues and greetings to the NSG leadership and our supporting staff. Maybe let me also welcome a very comprehensive presentation by NSG. Chair, I think some of my questions have been covered by my colleagues before me. I think another one was covered by Honorable Mpunu that spoke on the wrong officials. I think another one was just asked now by the Honorable Whip, Mam Kaba. Um, I think the questions I have are 3 questions now. The first one will be the presentation indicates positive outcomes are strongest where senior management actively supports NSG interventions. So should participation and support for NSG programs form part of performance assessment criteria for senior management in the public service? Just want to get their view on that. The second one will be, since the improved community engagement training contributed to reduced service delivery protests in the Eastern Cape, has the NSG considered scaling these interventions nationally to strengthen trust between communities and government? And the last one will be, the NSG noted that many trained officials are transferred or promoted before impact evaluations are completed, which then limits long-term assessment. So is there a system in place to track whether those officials continue applying their skills in their new roles or departments? Thank you very much, Chair.
Chair, I'm
Yes.
unable to raise my hand.
Honorable Pulwane, please proceed.
Yes, Chair, this technology is dumping me. Oh, thanks very much, Chair. I just want to welcome the presentation ka Ntate Moloto, or Dikwagetše Ntate Moloto. But I'm covered by my colleague. The only thing that I want to know, Chair, is maybe I've got only one question. I just want to check how often does the National School of Government conduct the regular training that need the assessment for the officials to understand the requirement of the training. Thanks, Chair. That's my question.
Thank you very much. Honorable Langa, is that a legacy hand, or would you like to just add on?
Legacy. Apologies, Chair.
Chair.
Yes, I hear someone on the platform.
Yes, Chair, my apologies, Chair, for not showing up my hand is because of the gadget. Chair, I'm having a few questions. They might be look as
We can't hear her.
check the NSG whether they could develop a strategy.
Honorable Tikana, maybe just come. We're struggling to hear you. Maybe come closer to your mic of your gadget, please.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now we hear you.
I would like the NSG can develop a strategy on aligning of their training, for the training not to be aligned with the individual trainings. Because I understand whenever they are people to be referred for a training, they are asked their areas of interest, which are misaligned with the program of the various areas where they're working in. One would have an interest of being a lawyer, while one is working in finance department. Then for the referral or in skills capacitation, how can NSG make a recommendation or a strategy for the employees that the training they do must be aligned with the workplace, not for what they desire to be when they leave the there are various areas where they are employed, because I believe that is aligned with the high levels of employees leaving the workplace to gain more opportunities or to be employed elsewhere when they gain the training they required. Then the other question, Chair, is whether NSG has designed additional curriculum for the state-owned employees and the local government employees. Then lastly, Chair, I would like to understand whether the departments be willing to send more employees for training if NSG training interventions are not yielding measurable improvement in individual performance. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable Malinga, I see your hand as well. Please proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Let me greet NSG and the entire honorable colleagues. Firstly, let me welcome the presentation by NSG. Secondly, let us welcome the words of encouragement from you, Chair, referring to the yesterday interaction in the plenary. I'm covered, Chair, by most of my colleagues in terms of the questions, but I just want to check with NSG in terms of the cry and the requirements that is needed in the department where they are stating that they are not meeting that level that they need. That is there any plan from NSG in terms of the CETA where they will be given, especially the young graduates or the youth that are unemployed, in terms of the learnership for the entire department of government, so that when there is a vacancy or any position, they know that in terms of the youth, there are those youth that are equipped throughout the learnership and the INSEV. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Malinga. I see no further hands. So NSG, I will now hand over to you for replies to the members and for the questions and for the remarks by the members. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I will respond to most of the issues as much as I can, Chair, and with your permission, I would like, if you are happy with it, my colleague, Dr. Moore, when I'm done, to add or minus some of the issues that I will be responding to, Chair. So, Chairperson, we will respond to the questions and issues raised by all honorable members in exactly the order that the honorable members raised them, which means I will start with Honorable Spies on the issue of ethics. And yes, ethics is mandatory already. We have an online ethics course, which is mandatory. Previously, even the minister wrote to all departments to encourage them to make sure that public servants in their departments register for this course. In a number of provinces and departments, we've also had directors generals instructing their employees to do this course. And what we found is that where there is that level of ownership, by the leadership in departments or provinces, and making that instruction that the enrollment rates do go up quite a lot in terms of public servants doing the ethics course. The related issue raised by Honorable Spees on consequence management. We do have a separate course, which is also online, that we call Managing Performance in the Public Service. And in this course, senior managers and supervisors are taught how to manage discipline and how to support staff to achieve the goals and targets of departments, but also how to hold them responsible. So the issue of managing performance and issues of discipline is an issue that we deal with in a related course, but not necessarily inside the ethics course. The ethics course is a separate course, and the managing of performance course is another course which is also available online. The issue around lifestyle audits, we are in discussion, and those discussions have not yet been concluded. We are hoping to enter into an agreement with our colleagues at the SIU to see what we can work on with them around lifestyle audits, because we will need expertise that we do not have at the National School of Government if we are going to be able to put in place an intervention that can assist departments to deal with issues of lifestyle audits. So we are hoping to borrow heavily on the expertise that is elsewhere in the public service and see whether we can get into partnerships that assist us with that. And I agree, Honorable Spees, the issue of best practice sharing is important, and it is something that we have to do. We have already begun in that process. We hosted for the first time a public service trainers forum, which was very successful in March this year and well attended by public servants from across the country. That is the forum we are hoping to increasingly use to make sure that best practice, the difference that the public service is making, is shared and known. And we are hoping to make this public service trainers forum an annual event so that we can be able to do exactly what Honorable Spees has raised. If I may move on, Chair, with your permission, to the questions raised by Honorable Nkunu. And the issue of transfers and promotions and the tracking of public servants who've completed our courses is raised by Honorable Nkunu. Honorable Nkabi also raised this issue, and also Honorable Langa raised this issue. I just want to clarify, Chair, that there are two elements here. There is the element of public servants getting transfers and or promotions and mobility within the public sector. Now, that is something between the departments and the individual employees to manage. And it happens and it cannot be stopped. We are raising it here in a completely different context. We are raising it in relation to our tracking of impact. Not that those public servants are missing. They are not missing. They are known where they are, but where they are and what they are doing might no longer be related to the training intervention that we provided to them, and therefore the changes that we had hoped to see where they were originally are unlikely to be traced because they've moved on. So it's not that we need a system to track them. We don't need a system to track them. We know where they are and what they're doing. What we are concerned about is the impact of that specific intervention in relation to where they were originally. So, for example, if we train John in supply chain management in the Department of Agriculture, and we go back to the Department of Agriculture to track whether John has been able to successfully implement supply chain management training that we provided. And we find that John has moved to the Department of Education and is now doing audit in the Department of Education. We know that John has moved to the Department of Education and is doing audit there, but that is not our concern. Our concern is now what happens with the supply chain management intervention that we had trained him for at the Department of Agriculture. So we would have liked, in instances such as those, to have been a better process of succession management. So, for example, if there is good succession management in the Department of Agriculture, if I continue, Chair, with this example, it would have meant that the subordinates who are now doing what John was doing have also been exposed to similar training to continue with that intervention of supply chain management in the Department of Agriculture. So it's a succession planning issue that we need to improve on in the public service, and the professionalization framework that Cabinet approved in 2022 attempts to deal with this, because we hope that when we professionalize the public sector, we will have more people who specialize in that field, staying longer in that field and making a difference much more in that field rather than job hopping from one post to the other. The second issue that is raised by Honorable Mkunu relates to the target groups and the cost. Yes, and we have very little control as the National School of Government. The departments that send these participants are paying, and they're the ones who then nominate public servants who must come to the school. We do encourage them to make sure that they stick to the nominations that they've paid for, and that those nominations are linked to the work that they have to do when they get back. This brings us back, Chairperson, to the issue of leadership ownership, where the leadership of the department owns up that intervention. They tend not to do those kinds of chops and cutting of public servants and ending up with wrong target groups. When the leadership is very clear in that department that they want to see a specific change happen, and they're sending these people to the school so that they can come back and effect certain changes, then we see in those instances that the target groups would be correct, and there would be a much more positive improvement in terms of impact. Honorable Mkunu also raises the issue of impact vis-a-vis poor service delivery. Yes, there are two elements there, Honorable Mkunu. The first one is an issue of scale. So you can see we were sharing with the committee that we've done 28 application of learning studies, and we've done 18 impact studies. So there's an issue of scale, those numbers, when we look broadly at the public sector with the millions of public servants across all three levels of the public sector, those numbers are a drop in the ocean. And as I indicated earlier on, the minister is pushing us hard to make sure that we can build up and have much more capacity to do more. But the second issue is that in the case studies that we shared in this presentation, if you look at General Dilare Hospital, for example, if you look at the Eastern Cape with the community development workers, there are those case studies that show us that there is a link in some instances between our interventions and good service delivery. So, and it comes back to the point Honorable Spies was making about best practice. There are good instances in the public sector where public servants are doing good things and serving communities very well. And in some instances, we are part of that process through our interventions, and we can see it when we go back to monitor and to look at the impact and the application of learning. So it's an issue of scale on the one hand, but also the issue of case studies that we are doing, which show in specific instances that there is an improvement in terms of service delivery. The third question arose from Honorable Gaba Nsaba, and the issue there was, what is it that we can do to push supervisors to allow participants to implement what they've learned? And again, that brings us back to the professionalization issue. We believe that the professionalization framework, as we implement it going forward, supervisors will be much more appreciative of having in place a more productive ecosystem that takes advantage of learning to improve performance. Again, it is linked to the issue that Honorable Langa was raising, which I'll come back to later, around the PMDS. Because I think that if supervisors could also in some way have their supervision and the ecosystem that they allow in the workplace linked to their performance, their own performance management, we would then hopefully see an improvement with supervisors allowing more and more participants to implement what they've learned. The issue of promotions and transfers and technology tracking that Honorable Kabansaba raised, I've also dealt with it when I was dealing with the issue raised by Honorable Nkunu on this tracking of promotions and transfers. So let me then come to the questions raised by Honorable Langa. Honorable Langa, yes, I do think, I mean, to some extent, the performance management development system does require those in leadership to exercise proper supervision, to support those that report to them, to ensure that their developmental goals are met. But maybe we could strengthen it as you are suggesting. Maybe we could make it much more tighter. Maybe we could tighten up some of the report back loops in terms of the extent to which those in leadership support those that are coming through the system with new knowledge and new learning, provide them with opportunities to practice what they've learned, and also are able to make sure that there's a link between their own developmental goals and also the support that they get from them. And again, Honorable Langa, it comes back to the framework. You will know, for example, in the framework at level 4 of the framework, we talk about continuous professional development. And we hope that continuous professional development will become a way of life in the public sector for all of us, not just leadership, but for all of us. And when that happens with the continuous development points, PDP points, we hope that all of us we will recognize and appreciate much more the need to support those that report to us to do what they have learned from the National School of Government. And then you raise the issue of scaling up the Eastern Cape intervention. We do think that it would be good to do that, and we will have to then also look at the monitoring aspect of it. And again, this requires, as I've said over and over, Chair, leadership commitment. So the Eastern Cape intervention has not just succeeded, Chair, because the NSG did the training intervention and then we went back to look at impact. It succeeded because there was leadership ownership there in relation to that intervention. So when we scale up, it will have to require, where we scale up, the leadership in the different provinces to also own up to those interventions for them to make a difference. And then the issue of transferring the system and the new roles, it's linked to the issue that Honorable Mkuno raised on promotions and transfers, and the issue that was raised by Honorable Taba Nkaba. If I may move to Honorable Polwani, how often do we conduct training? We conduct training. Our training is demand driven, Honorable Polwani. So we have over 160 programs that are available to roll out. We advertise, we are very active on social media, we encourage, we partner with departments, but at the end of the day, we are dependent on departments committing because they have to pay for the training. So we are very dependent on them committing. As soon as departments commit, we are always available to immediately roll out the training interventions on our side. Honorable Tikana Kotiwe raised 3 issues. The issue of alignment of training with the workplace as being key. We agree that yes, the issue of alignment of training with the workplace is very important. That is why in the presentation we were saying these monitoring and evaluation reports that we prepare, we don't do them just to talk about the participants and the other government departments, but we also do them to talk to ourselves so that we can tell whether our training is aligned to the workplace, whether our facilitation assists us in terms of making a difference. So we always worry about this, and we read these reports and we reshape our curriculum and our facilitation based on what emerges out of these reports. And the second point is with regards to state-owned entities and local government. Yes, we are rolling out a lot of training with state-owned entities. Honorable members will be aware that the professionalization framework mandated that with regards to state-owned entity boards, they need to come to the National School of Government for induction. So in the last year or two, we have been inducting a great number of state-owned entity boards, and we are seeing a huge increase in that intervention going forward. And also with local government, similarly, we have a qualification that is targeting local government, which has been accredited by the local government SETA. And we are looking at scaling up our interventions going forward on local government, especially with the changes that have recently been finalized, arising out of the Public Service Act and the Public Administration Management Act. So local government is a key area of work. We are also rating ourselves to make sure that with the coming local government elections, we are able to provide support in terms of training in that regard. The third issue that Honorable Tikana Kotiwe raised is in relation to individual performance and how relevant it is that. Yes. So it is our intervention, Honorable Tikana Kotiwe, our intervention, and then we want to see learning being acquired by the individual, him or herself. Have they acquired the learning? And then we want to see them go back to the department where they work, to their workplaces, and apply that learning back in the workplace. When that happens, then we are likely to see impact in terms of service delivery in that department in relation to serving society better. Honorable Malinga, is there a plan with regards to SETAs on learnerships for youth? So we are accredited, the National School of Government, we are accredited by the Public Sector Education and Training Authority, the PSETA. We work very closely with them in terms of our training programs and also the institutional accreditation itself. We do have programs at the National School of Government that are targeted at youth. One of those programs which we've rolled out, we've also worked very closely with the Department of Defense, is the Breaking Barriers to Entry into the Public Service. This is a program where we try very hard during training to break barriers for youth who want to enter the public sector. So, what skills do they need? What knowledge do they require? What abilities do they have? We do that, and we've rolled out, I think at this stage, thousands of youth have benefited from that intervention, especially the work that we've done on NARSEC, which utilizes the breaking barriers to entry in our work with the Department of Defense. So we also have internship programs that we work on, which shape and inform some of the internship recruitment processes that our sister department, DPSA, runs. But it's an area that, as we all are aware, is a huge gap. It's a big problem in our country, and it can always benefit from a much more significant scaling up. Resources and budget, unfortunately, limit the extent and scope to which we can be able to scale up. Chairperson, if you may allow me, I might have missed one or two. If I may ask my colleague, Dr. Moore, who is in this meeting, if she wants to add, Chairperson, with your permission.
Yes, absolutely. Please go ahead.
Dr. Moore, are you there? You want to add something?
Good morning, Honorable, excuse me, good morning, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable members, senior management on the platform and all other staff on the platform. Dr. Maja, you've covered extensively all the questions that were raised. There's just one or two points that I will also add. The one was the question from Honorable Spies about whether we have a program or how do we prepare officials for disciplinary procedures. There is a program that we rolled out and which we which was done with we conducted an impact evaluation. The NSG conducted the impact evaluation of that program, which focuses on that area. The program's name is the Labour Relations for Managers in the Public Service Program. It was during the period 22 to 23 and 23 to 24, and very good results were obtained there as well. The participants who attended that program were basically from the division that deals with the labour relations issues, the disciplinary procedures, the hearings and things, and they could all attest, and it was a very good report. They all attested to the fact that the course was very useful and they could speed up all the grievances and the disciplinary procedures that previously they had a problem with because they understood everything much better around that area. And then just to add something that Dr. Maja mentioned about the internship and the programs that we offer to youth, we also conducted, the NSG conducted, it was a study that was completed now at the end of the previous financial year on CCSD, which is the Citizen-Centered Service Delivery Program. It was in collaboration with Chrysalis Academy in the Western Cape, where a number of youth, I think the majority of them were females, were trained on what to do when you get into the public service. It was quite a lengthy program, but we had very good results, which we didn't share as a case study, but there are numerous case studies that we can share where there were very good positive outcomes with all the impact evaluations that we have undertaken. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, there you have it. Members, we do have some time. Is there any member that would like a second bite of the cherry or would just like to make a remarks? It does not seem that way. Then I would just like to say, lastly, thank you so much, Dr. Maya, for your attendance, for the delegation from the National School of Government. It is highly appreciated. I think good questions were asked and some good answers were given. We appreciate your time, and with that, we can adjourn the meeting. Thank you so much, members.
Thank you, Chair.
Recording stopped.